Adventures in Millfork. This is going to be more of a vlog style, so probably going to have lots of snap cuts. I also apologise for my PC fan in the background, but I have to do this on the main PC. So Millfork is a middle-level programming language. It's been around for a little while. I've had my eye on it. I love the sound of it. I think being able to target multiple machines is going to be crucial to boosting the viability of retro products. However, it just doesn't quite do what I need. It's always, 16K of something, and I want to do a 1 megabyte, 2 megabyte, no holds barred C64 project or a 128 project, or I want to do the 8086 and the 286, not a Spectrum and an MSX. So, never really kind of fit the sort of puzzle hole. Like it's close, but never, just not quite. Another concern I've had is how easy to get out of it. I get into a project, I've been going 5 months deep in, and then I hit its wall. I can run out of room, I can't do the overlays, it's got too many bugs, it's missing something. What do? Am I just completely stuck? Do I have to throw out everything and go back and write back in assembly language, or can I slide it out? What's its outputs, etc.? Although, recently Monty Boyd's Muddy Races has shown to be reasonably quite good, as Monsters Go Boom's Boomerang. They are all single screen though, has to be factored in. And another thing I have is, I'm not a guy, I just can't go and say, oh, I'm going to do something in Millfork. I have to have a real, rational, constrained thing that I'm doing that has a purpose. Unfortunately, Shallan has provided me with one. Thanks, Shallan. In his new, if you don't know Shallan, he's a D6, Compo 64 games, doing a couple of ports, Mega 65 aficionado, and he's made a competition that is to, originally it was to port a cassette 50 game, which was a really, I think it was 1K limit, maybe? And, that didn't sit with me. Porting someone else's game, it didn't sit with me. But then he updated the rules, so now you can port a 4K game, which I have quite a few of. My most recent one was Hose It Out, which I did for the 2020 4K competition. And I completely misclicked. It's a simple little puzzle game. You move the pieces around. Water. It's all in Petsky. It's ECBM, which may provide an issue, but pretty straightforward. And then I upgraded it to the Commodore 128 VDC. So this is using the new 16 color bitmap mode for the VDC. Got some animations per pixel watering. And the thing is, we have to take this and we have to use Millfork, and we have to then upgrade it to be Mega 65 spec, make some use of something from the Mega 65. So my plan is I turn this 160 by 100 16 color into 320 by 200 256 color. Should qualify. It's pretty mega, but that's the plan anyway. I'm using the Commander X16 Millfork plugin, incidentally, for Visual Studio Code. It has a couple of issues, and that is, it claims you can change all of these options, but it don't quite work. So to get it working, I had to drag this over. I had to hack the extension. So if you want to use something other than the Commander X16, you want to open up the extension.js, which is in your .vs Code extensions. Your name is the ambz.e05.mfx.com x16-1.1.0, and you'll find extension.js. And what's the function? Run Millfork function, execute AMU, and then you want to find this section. So you have to go to the settings and you have to put in something in the options. Let's bring up settings. So here's search for Millfork. Okay, so I've set the emulator and I've actually given it WinVice, but shh, don't tell it. And then you put something in here. Although I tried to get this working. Well, the additional params works with there's no paths or anything in it, but then when you get down to here, replace x16mu command, that wasn't working. So over here, I have to put you put something in it, and then that runs this path, and then give me mono commands det name dot label, and then det name, and then that kind of then works, and you'll have this is for WinVice or Vice, I suppose, either way, not for the Mega 65 emulator, but this way it will run and load the label file on F6. Not F5, but F6. F5 is for debugging, and F6 is for running, and yeah, I made that mistake so many times. So many times. Where are we? There's the code again. There's the actual code. My plan is to go from the 64 version to make a 64 version again, because Millfork is beta, the Mega 65 is beta, the Mega 65 emulator is the beta of a beta piece of hardware, the Millfork integration Millfork support for Mega 65 is alpha, I suppose. The emulator doesn't have any debugger. Well, maybe it does. I haven't looked at it for a month. I think maybe there was something to add something, but still, it's only going to be like a tea candle to WinVice at best. And I've never written any Millfork, so I felt the best plan is go for the most solid debugging platform with the strongest supported Millfork platform, and work from there. So I make the 64 version with the 64 using Pesky. I then get the Pesky version working on Mega 65, which should just work, although because I used ECBM, it might not work in the emulator. Then port the 128 graphics to the Mega 65, which should be trivial, and then get that working, and then upgrade the graphics to Mega 65 spec. That's a bit, roundabout, bit through hoops, but I'm thinking it's the least resistance path. That's my hope anyway. But then, how am I getting on with it? It's okay. I made an enum and tiles. I regret this decision because you have to load in binary file, and you can't load in a binary file as an enum. So you have to do lots of casts. Oh, and you can do equals, but you can't do less than equals on an enum. So you have to cast that as well. And I've been thinking maybe I should just convert it back to bytes, but I can't be bothered at the moment. I had a bunch more code in there, but doing some experiments. But down here, some moves. So mostly down the for loops. It's a little idiosyncratic, I found. You have to declare all your variables at the top, like it's anti-C, which is a bit. But then you can do this one down here, and it doesn't complain. But then sometimes it does complain. I'm not sure of the exact rules yet. But generally going up the top. Oh, and you can't assign something to it. So I can't say pointer map data equals and maplet on the mem name. No. It has to be separate, which is weird. For loops, as I mentioned, are a bit odd. It also mentions that they're buggy, which doesn't fill me with greatest of confidence in pretty much everything you're going to be doing is a for loop, but you know, it's fine. Let's see if I can find one. There's the poke command. I have a poke command down here somewhere. Find it. Yeah, you got to use the poke command to set a memory address. I'm not a huge fan of it. It just seems wrong. Why can't I just say $7FF equals 31? Or maybe put an ampersand or an asterisk in front of it or something? I don't know, it just seems a bit weird. Doesn't seem to fit. It's like I got poke. I got a basic command in the middle of this thing. But I don't know. Where was this? So here's the original draw map box. I can spell. So you know, there's the one. So there's Millfork versus the original. It's a bit denser. It's a bit easier to read, as you would expect. You can find, and here's the current version. This is not optimized at all. I'm not using the O's yet. I haven't got to optimization bugs and little warnings you get for those. But so you know, a day and a half. It took me a day and a half to get it. So let's see if this works. It took me a day and a half to get it to the drawing tiles and moving them stage from not having written a single line. So you know, you can do this. I've got to fix that. At the moment you can't hold down fire and keep moving. It's annoying. I've got to fix it. That took me, I suppose it was a day and a half. On and off little bursts here and there. I had to run to the help support and get Once It's Go Boom helped me with a couple of things. The documentation's a little incomplete in some regards in places, so it doesn't quite explain things. Another thing I found is, and I appreciate this is a really complicated problem, writing decent error reporting code in a language is possibly the hardest thing in a language. You do get some very cryptic error messages, and I found the best way to do this is you kind of pretend you are writing C and you put a new function above anything else that calls it, because if you put it after, the function will fail and then it won't exist, and then the code that calls it will say, I can't call this because it doesn't exist, and that will be the error message you get. But if you put the function before it, then you'll get all the error messages from the actual function, which helps. Oh, hi fans. Which, when I was starting out, it really helped. I mean, now that I understand the syntax a bit better, I don't quite have so many syntax bugs, and it's probably not so bad, but starting out, definitely that helped me a lot. But I think I probably rambled on enough for this video. Next time, I hope to have the game complete. I want to have whole 64 version complete, and then I can worry about the Mega 65 version. But, so I'll see you then.